There's no food here for outsiders. Cheering as if she'd just won a trophy, my sister-in-law and mother-in-law were in high spirits. When I returned home after being invited for a baby shower, I found out I wasn't even getting a meal. Honestly, these people are rotten to the core. Well, they'll get what's coming to them eventually. Or maybe even sooner. My name is Jessica. I'm 38 years old, and I've noticed that my wounds take much longer to heal these days. When I turned 30, my older friend told me something I'll never forget.
Now that you're over 30, you have to take better care of your skin than ever. Scars set in so quickly now, so make sure to use a good anti-aging serum.
At the time, I thought she must have become a walking advertisement for a skincare brand. But she was absolutely right. My skin doesn't have the same glow it did in my 20s. Sadly, I've learned the hard way what she meant. A little before I received that wise piece of skincare advice, I was nearing my 30th birthday. But instead of feeling excited about the occasion, I was preoccupied with a certain issue. What's with all these old clothes?
Mom didn't want them anymore, so I thought you might. They're women's clothes, so maybe you can wear them. Please take them.
Oh, I don't think so. One night, my husband, Kevin, came home after work carrying 3 stuffed grocery bags. The contents? All of them were my mother-in-law's old clothes. The fabric was stretched and worn out, with frayed hems and stains that looked like food spills. At a glance, even knowing they were hers, they screamed, "Don't touch me." These were nothing like the neat secondhand clothes you'd find in thrift stores. On top of that, the designs were utterly outdated. My mother-in-law, Taylor, often shops at a rundown store in the corner of a strip mall that's perpetually having a sale. Her style includes sequin-covered t-shirts, vests with giant tiger prints, and snakeskin jackets. But for me, no, thank you. I've told you before, haven't I? Accepting hand-me-downs from your mom just turns into clutter. I don't want them anymore.
Yeah, but she means well.
Do you really think giving us worn-out clothes is an act of kindness? Don't you think she's just dumping her trash on us? Kevin grimaced, clearly embarrassed. He probably knew this was dumping garbage. This wasn't the first time Taylor had pushed unwanted items onto us under the guise of generosity. Since our wedding, she'd occasionally handed us old clothes, shoes, and even broken appliances, labeling them as gifts. Whenever she had something she wanted to get rid of, she'd summon Kevin to her house and send him back with what was essentially trash. I'd already asked him to stop accepting her gifts. But here we were. The problem was that Kevin couldn't bring himself to stand up to his mother at all. He once admitted, "I've never been able to say no to her since I was a kid." It wasn't like she was scary when angry or physically abusive. As his wife, I couldn't understand what he feared so much about his mother, but it seemed to be something ingrained in him since childhood. For Kevin even saying, "We don't need this," felt like defying his mother. And that was a headache for me. I couldn't see why he felt the need to hold his mother in such high regard when she was the kind of person who dumped trash on her son's family. Because of this, our once conflict-free marriage started to see arguments every time Kevin brought home his mother's gifts. If it weren't for this issue, Kevin was a great husband. He was kind, didn't drink or gamble, and certainly didn't cheat. On special occasions, he'd buy my favorite desserts, and he always helped out around the house. When I had a high fever, he stayed up all night taking care of me. Everyone has their flaws. I tried to overlook this particular problem and hope to gradually change the dynamics between Kevin and his mother. But then, during summer vacation that year, things took a turn. There was a memorial service at Kevin's parents' house, followed by a family gathering in the evening. Wait, what's this? While helping with the food presentation, I noticed a dish of spinach, which my husband, Kevin, absolutely dislikes. Well, Taylor, could we maybe skip serving this one to Kevin?
Why?
She looked at me with a puzzled expression. You'd think a mother would know her son's preferences. It felt awkward to be the one to inform her about her own son's likes and dislikes. But since I brought it up, I had no choice. Well, he doesn't really like spinach. I explained.
What are you talking about? Kevin loves spinach.
That can't be right.
Maybe you're mistaken. Anyway, we don't have time. Just serve it already.
Oh, okay. Following her instructions, I served Kevin his spinach dish. Sure enough, the moment Kevin laid eyes on it, his expression twisted in discomfort. See? He hates it, right? I'm not mistaken, am I? I remember when we went to a diner during our early dating days. He was disappointed when a spinach stir-fry showed up instead of what he thought was bok choy. I've also seen him leave spinach untouched on several occasions. That's why spinach dishes are a no-go in our household. It seems like Taylor doesn't know her son's preferences at all. For someone who Kevin obeys so completely, it's a bit sad she doesn't even know this much about him. While these thoughts ran through my mind, the party became more lively as people drank, but Kevin still hadn't touched his spinach dish. I wasn't surprised, watching him avoid it. Then, Taylor looked at Kevin's untouched dish and spoke up.
You're saving your favorite for last, aren't you?
Kevin froze for a moment, then quickly made an awkward face before forcing a smile.
Yeah, Mom, your spinach salad is my absolute favorite. I'm just so excited to eat it after so long.
What the heck? From Kevin's strained mouth came a string of utter lies, no more like 10,000 lies, and I stared at him in disbelief. Acting as if he didn't notice my shock, Kevin grabbed a clump of spinach with his fork and shoved it into his mouth. His face turned pale as he chewed, well, not chewed, more like swallowed it whole. He repeated the action, finishing the entire dish in just 2 bites. That's not how someone enjoys their favorite food. It was more like a kid forced to eat something they hate. His pale face afterward was proof enough.
See, Jessica, Kevin just loves spinach, doesn't he?
Taylor smirked and puffed up with pride. Kevin, seriously, you should just be honest about your preferences. I encouraged Kevin to tell the truth. This wasn't rebellion. It was an opportunity for him to finally communicate his tastes. But things didn't go as planned.
Spinach really is my favorite, and I'm lucky to get to eat it during this visit.
Kevin forced another smile, his face still blue. Taylor looked satisfied and said, Jessica, you should know your husband's preferences better. Wait, didn't you tell me you hate spinach? I counted him.
That's probably because your cooking didn't make it taste good.
Taylor replied with a straight face. For the record, Taylor and I aren't enemies. She's just the type to say whatever's on her mind. At our wedding, she looked at me in my dress and commented, "Even a scarecrow can look decent in clothes," which made my grandfather furious. She doesn't mean harm, but she's the kind of person who unintentionally causes problems. Apparently, she often gets into disputes with neighbors for the same reason. Her inability to pick up on others' emotions makes things worse. "I don't know why they're mad," she'd say, further irritating people. Honestly, I find her hard to deal with. Her remark about my cooking was probably just another thoughtless comment. I didn't want to ruin the mood, so I could only muster a weak laugh and let it slide.
Please don't comment on things you don't fully understand.
I'm sorry.
Look, I'm his mother, okay? I know his preferences better than you ever could.
Yes, of course.
What's with the attitude? Are you acting like I scolded you? Don't give off that vibe. It makes me look like the bad guy.
I didn't mean to.
Oh, such a sulky daughter-in-law.
I take back what I said earlier. Taylor and I were not on bad terms, at least until this very moment. It seems we're about to be, though. Her tone was outright hostile. I couldn't tell if she was in a bad mood or if my pointing out something rubbed her the wrong way, or maybe both. But I'd clearly earned her disapproval. From there, she dug up old grievances, like how she wished for a more charming daughter-in-law, and how during the wedding she came off as the villain because I didn't handle things right. Who knew spinach could lead to all this drama? If Kevin hadn't tried to cover it up with a silly lie, none of this would have happened. I'm so mad. Meanwhile, Kevin, egged on by his mother, accepted a second serving of spinach. If he's getting seconds. Maybe I misunderstood, and he actually does like spinach. Trying to think about it any further was just frustrating, so I decided to let it go. A few days later, my coworker brought in a large batch of spinach from her family farm and offered me to share it. Since I wasn't entirely sure about Kevin's preferences, I hesitated for a moment. But it felt odd to be the only one declining when everyone else accepted with smiles. Besides, I actually like spinach, and this batch looked so fresh and delicious. It would have been a waste not to take it, so I happily brought it home and used it for dinner.
Oh no, spinach. Why would you serve this?
Kevin's voice rose sharply. This was so unlike my usually mild-mannered husband. My coworker gave it to me. You said it was your favorite the other day. Can you actually eat it?
That was a lie. You knew that, didn't you? Are you trying to spite me?
That's not fair to say. If you don't want to eat it, then don't. I made other dishes just in case. So you really do hate spinach. Why didn't you just admit it back then?
I didn't want to upset Mom.
But in the end, I was the one who got called a bad cook by her. It's okay if I get hurt, but not her?
No, it's just. You didn't have to bring it up in the first place.
I brought it up because you've said before you absolutely can't stand spinach. I was trying to help you avoid it, and yet you forced it down your throat and turned blue. Maybe it was because I was already feeling drained, but I found tears welling up in my eyes. Kevin flinched at the sight of my tears and said, "Let's drop this, okay?" Drop it? No, we need to figure out how to handle your mother going forward. I've always tried to express my feelings clearly to Kevin. I never wanted to fall into the trap of expecting him to just know without me saying anything. But whether I spell things out or not, the results seem to be the same. In the end, he avoids facing the real issues. Afterward, Kevin continued bringing home things his mother insisted on giving him. Though calling them things might be misleading, previously, they were at least technically items. After the incident in the summer, Taylor, who seemingly grew to dislike me, started including kitchen waste among the clothes she sent us as a form of harassment. Sometimes the bag was entirely filled with garbage. One time, there was a pair of hand-me-down shoes at the bottom, but they were soaked with leaked garbage juice and completely unusable. Basically, it was all trash. Kevin, come on. This is obviously garbage, right? You can smell it. Why did you bring it home? Kevin avoided my gaze. Calling out something as a problem isn't being rebellious, you know? Why are you so obedient to her?
I don't want Mom to hate me. And besides, she means well.
This is not meaning well. How can you possibly think it is? Unable to hold back, I raised my voice, and Kevin fell silent, staring down at the floor. He didn't even try to argue. Fine. Then you can sort and throw it all out yourself. I'm done separating the trash from the clothes.
Okay.
The reason I started speaking more strictly to my husband around this time was that I finally understood why he never stood up to his mom. It wasn't for any complicated reason. Because she's scary when she's mad, he said. Sure, as someone currently being harassed by her, I can imagine she'd do some pretty nasty things if provoked. But still, what kind of grown adult is scared of their mom? I couldn't help but think Kevin's emotional development had stopped somewhere around elementary school. It's no wonder my feelings for him started cooling off. A little while later, December arrived. Once again, it was the season to visit my in-laws. As someone who's been harassed without even being in her presence, I honestly didn't want to go. But if I didn't, I knew she'd say something like, she tucked her tail and ran away. I hated the thought of being declared a loser without even showing up. I had no choice but to brace myself and accompany Kevin back to his family home.
Oh, Jessica, it's been a while.
It really has, Taylor.
It's gotten so cold lately. Are you staying healthy?
Yes, thanks to you. I'm doing just fine.
That's good to hear.
Her mouth was smiling, but her eyes weren't. My own forced smile made the corners of my mouth twitch, but from an outsider's perspective, we probably seemed like a cheerful mother-in-law and daughter-in-law pair. This must be, they are trying to outfox each other. Oh, isn't that my dear Jessica? Waving her hand and approaching was my husband's younger sister, Emily. Long time no see, Emily. Congratulations on your baby. Thanks a ton. There was another reason I reluctantly agreed to this visit. Emily, whom I hadn't seen in over a year, had given birth to a baby. Living far away, her health had been poor during her pregnancy, so she hadn't attended last year's Christmas or this summer's memorial service. And now, the family decided to combine this visit with a celebration for her baby's birth. If I didn't attend this event, I knew I'd get an earful of complaints. It's easier to nip these issues in the bud by being present. Perfect timing. Jessica, can you change this one's diaper? Without waiting for an answer, Emily handed her baby into my arms. Wait, hold on. I've never taken care of a baby before. Just copy what you see other people do. I can't do that. Shouldn't you take care of it yourself? It's your child after all. Kevin chimed in, snapping at me.
She came all the way here. Let her take a break from childcare for once.
What? She's a parent. Childcare is part of the job. If you want a break so badly, maybe you shouldn't have had kids. I realized I made a mistake. I'd accidentally responded with pure logic. Before I could brace myself, Emily pursed her lips. You're so cold, Jessica. Taylor clicked her tongue.
Can't you be kind to a child? What a heartless woman.
Wait. Was I the bad guy here? Then why don't you take care of the baby yourself, Taylor? Of course, no one stepped up to say, well, then I'll do it. They all just acted like good people while trying to push the responsibility onto someone else. I've never had a child, and I don't have the skills to care for someone else's baby. I'm sorry, but I can't do it. I made sure to include an apology for the sake of civility. But as soon as I spoke, Emily and Taylor started whispering. Did you hear that? Isn't that awful? Watching them exchange comments, Kevin shot me glances and said,
Can't you just go with the flow?
like hell I would. I ignored his plea. That must have been my big mistake.
Jessica, can you go buy some more alcohol?
Oh sure, I'll go right now. It might be a small town thing, but the relatives had already started drinking as they arrived, even though the delivery food hadn't shown up yet. My father-in-law, who loves alcohol, was right there with them, making noise. I remembered the summer incident when he got completely drunk, and Kevin had to help him stumble to bed. Worried the same might happen again, I went out to buy more drinks. But when I got back, the front door was closed. I turned the knob, but it wouldn't budge. It was locked. Given the steady stream of relatives arriving at different times, I was certain they'd left the door unlocked for convenience. Naturally, I hadn't taken a key. I had no choice but to ring the doorbell. Hi, it's me, Jessica. Can someone unlock? Before I could finish, the intercom call was cut off. I rang again, but this time, no one answered. Once again, I tried it again. No way. Was I locked out? I tried calling Kevin, but no matter how many times it rang, he didn't pick up. Hello, someone. I'm back. Let me in. Loud sounds of a raucous party echoed from inside. I was sure that if I made enough noise outside, someone would notice. So I pounded on the front door and shouted, "Open up," repeatedly. After about 10 minutes of standing in the snow, my fists aching, one of the relatives finally noticed and let me in.
Oh my, welcome back, Jessica. You must have been so cold.
She greeted me with an odd, mocking tone in her voice. Of course, I was cold. I'd been left outside in the snow for 10 minutes. I rang the doorbell. Did you? I didn't hear a thing. Right, dear?
That's right.
Feigning concern, Emily and Taylor both tilted their heads, as if puzzled by the situation. Their exaggerated mannerisms made it clear this was a deliberate act between the two of them. Kevin seemed to understand what had happened, but he avoided making eye contact with me. I clenched my fists in anger.
All right, everyone, the food is here.
Completely brushing off the incident, Taylor switched gears and cheerfully announced the arrival of the food delivery.
Wow, this looks amazing.
Emily's excitement matched the others.
We splurged on this meal. It cost $1,000 for the premium package.
Wow, that's incredible.
Relatives buzzed with excitement at her words. Though irritated, I figured I might as well enjoy the expensive food to soothe my mood. After all, it was on the in-laws' dime. I'd eat as much as I wanted. Or so I thought. As the food was being passed around, Taylor noticed one item was missing. "There's one-piece shirt," she said. With that, Emily raised her hand, snatched some chicken and French fries from my plate, and said,
Here it is.
Oh, there it is. Thank goodness.
Taylor smirked, clearly enjoying herself. Wait a second, that was mine. I stood up, confused, as Taylor and Emily smiled gleefully.
There's no food here for outsiders.
With childish glee, they yelled, "Take that," as they mocked me. What kind of grown adults act like this? After everything they'd already done, this little stunt almost felt like a harmless prank. But it didn't change how frustrating it was. How could they not feel ashamed of themselves, acting like a bunch of overgrown children? I was about to explode with anger and shout at them when,
Ha ha ha.
suddenly, my father-in-law, Brian, burst out laughing uncontrollably. He was wheezing so hard that I started worrying he might have trouble breathing. "Brian, what's so funny?"
Dad, did you drink too much or something?
It wasn't just me. Taylor and the other relatives were also puzzled, asking him what was going on.
Oh, I haven't laughed like that in ages. You lot were just so ridiculous. I couldn't hold it in.
Oh, so you thought Jessica not getting food was funny, Dad?
Emily grinned while glancing at me. She smirked and added, "Looks like nobody's on your side, Jessica. Better luck next time."
No, it wasn't that. What cracked me up was you and your mom's conversation.
Our conversation?
Emily and Taylor's faces froze in confusion.
Well, it's just that it's hilarious how the two of you are about to get ditched by your husbands.
What are you talking about?
Taylor's eyebrows shot up in irritation at Brian's remark.
Oh, don't look so scary. It's exactly what it sounds like. Here, Emily, take a look at this.
He walked over to a shelf, opened a drawer, and pulled out a piece of paper.
Here, read this.
What's this? A divorce paper.
Emily stared in shock.
Yeah, Tony sent it this morning.
Tony was Emily's husband.
I also read the letter he included. Apparently, Emily, Tony has had enough and wants a divorce.
Emily's face turned ghostly pale. Taylor gasped. "Is this true?" The other relatives, including my husband, started murmuring, "What's going on?"
Emily, it seems that during your pregnancy, you were constantly screaming at Tony and bossing him around. He says he's tired of living with such a scary wife.
Hey, did Tony actually say that?
Yep, it's all written right here in the letter.
He handed Emily the letter from Tony, who hesitated to take it, her hands trembling. At that moment, I realized Brian wasn't nearly as drunk as I had thought. In fact, he seemed completely sober, which was somehow even more surprising.
Telling a working husband to come home at odd hours, sending him out on late-night errands, and yelling at him if he doesn't obey. No wonder he's had enough.
Emily's face flushed bright red at her father's words.
Stay out of our marriage.
Well, it's because no one called you out that things escalated to the point where divorce papers landed at our house. Him skipping the family gathering, despite the occasion being a celebration for the baby, that says it all.
That's not.
Wait, didn't you say Tony couldn't come because of work?
Clearly flustered, Emily was now scrambling as Taylor innocently dug for more details. Now's not the time to bring that up, I thought.
Just stop it already. Fine, it's true.
Emily exploded.
He didn't come because our relationship's been bad. Happy now that I had to say it?
The room fell into complete silence. No one dared to comment. But Taylor, oblivious to the tension, smugly turned to Brian and asked,
So fine, Tony has had enough of her, but what about me? I'm thriving in a perfectly happy marriage.
Brian burst out laughing again.
What's so funny?
Oh, I just didn't think you were that clueless. You're like the emperor with no clothes.
What on earth are you talking about?
I told you plenty of times to stop dumping useless stuff on Jessica, but you just wouldn't listen.
Well, Kevin keeps taking it his home, so clearly it's not a problem, right?
Clothes I could overlook, but throwing actual trash into the mix? That's crossing a line.
Well, Kevin doesn't say no, so it's not my fault.
Yeah, that's exactly what you'd say. Every time I see you act like that, you just stop looking like a woman to me.
What's that supposed to mean? Then what do I look like to you?
An ogre.
What? How dare you?
It might have sounded like a comedic exchange, but their eyes were dead serious.
A wife should bring comfort to her husband at home. But your smiles always look like you're plotting something sinister.
What's that supposed to mean?
She shouted angrily. But I couldn't help nodding in agreement. The relatives who had witnessed her antics earlier were also nodding, their faces reflecting quiet approval of his words.
Men want their wives to bring peace, not greed.
Her face turned bright red at that remark.
Who are you calling greedy?
She yelled. But she is greedy, I thought.
I'd rather not spend the rest of my days living with an ogre. Let's get divorced.
That's ridiculous.
She slumped her shoulders, seemingly in shock. Brian chuckled at her reaction, as if even that was amusing.
You seem to enjoy tormenting Jessica, but I bet you didn't expect to suffer this much by year's end.
Well, maybe Mom did go too far this time. Jessica, sorry about that.
Kevin suddenly patted my back, his tone oddly light. What's with this sudden shift? Trying to save face now.
I should have put my foot down with Mom earlier. I just didn't want to ruin any chance of you two getting along. Men can be such cowards sometimes. My bad.
He was acting so unnaturally upbeat that I wondered if someone had possessed him. It was clear he wanted to dismiss everything that had happened as if it were no big deal. For someone who'd been adamant about not opposing his mother, "I should have stood firm" sounded laughable. He must have realized that siding with his mother after even his father supported me would make him look bad in front of everyone. "So, you're on my side now?" I asked him with a smile.
Of course, I'm your husband. I'll always be here for you, so just count on me.
Funny, considering you didn't say anything when they took my food.
Well, I was waiting for the right moment.
And all the times you kept bringing home trash despite me asking you to stop. Were you waiting for the right moment then too?
Yeah, that's it. Well, anyway, let's not dwell on that. Look, here's your food. Come on, everyone, let's eat.
No, thank you.
What?
I'm an outsider, so I don't have the right to eat that chicken. With a bright smile, I said those words. Kevin looked at me with a dumbfounded expression.
Are you still hung up on what Mom said? An outsider. Don't take it so literally.
No. Are you living in a fantasy land? I'm saying I'm becoming an outsider to you. We're getting divorced. Immediately, Brian burst into uncontrollable laughter.
This is great. Everyone's getting divorced. It's a divorce festival.
He seemed delighted. Yeah, definitely drunk. I can't take it anymore. Being your mom's puppet, flipping sides when it suits you, never standing your ground. I'm done. I've completely lost all affection for you.
Wait, Jessica. Calm down.
Even if I calm down, the conclusion won't change. This isn't something I just decided today.
What?
I've been thinking about it for a long time. We don't have kids, so why not just divorce quickly and move on? When we get home, sign the papers I've already prepared.
You're joking.
I'm not. I had hoped that if you changed, maybe I could love you again. Maybe we could work things out. But no, it's clear now. You're hopeless. What's broken can't be fixed. I may have gone too far, as Kevin's eyes started to well up with tears. The relatives and Brian, however, were cheering me on like fans at a soccer match.
Well, now that that's settled, let's dig into the food.
Brian announced cheerfully. In the end, everyone except shocked Taylor, outraged Emily, and my crying husband enjoyed the luxury food. Afterward, Kevin and I divorced, just as I declared. He begged me multiple times to reconsider, but I simply replied, "This is the decision I reached after giving it plenty of thought," leaving him utterly speechless. Taylor, thinking that dragging out the property settlement would prevent the divorce, made unreasonable demands on Brian. However, he seemed very eager to finalize the divorce, agreeing to everything with a casual, "Take whatever you want." In the end, Taylor was the one pleading for reconciliation, saying, "Forget the property settlement. I'll change, I swear." But she still failed to stop the divorce. Ryan's determination was awe-inspiring. As for Emily, she couldn't stop her divorce either and became a single mother. Apparently, even after the divorce, she continued to harass her ex-husband, unable to accept the outcome. I hope she hasn't gotten the police involved. But since I've cut ties with that family, I can't be sure. Given her obsessive behavior, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a restraining order against her. It never felt like she loved her ex. It seemed more like she couldn't stand being the one dumped. Her obsession probably grows stronger with each passing day. It is terrifying. Post-divorce, I left the company I'd been working at and took a step up by joining a slightly more prestigious firm in the same industry. The best part of being single is being able to fully focus on your career. I used to work in sales, and marriage had forced me to scale back my efforts. Now, I enthusiastically participate in business dinners and networking events. Thanks to that, my boss even said, "You're the reason our numbers are so good." Last year's bonus, let's just say it was very satisfying. I moved to a new place and created a soundproof room to enjoy my hobbies. In that room, I play my favorite music or watch movies with the state-of-the-art audio equipment I invested in. Do I feel lonely? Wondering if I'll ever remarry? Not at all. I'm much happier now than when I was married. Besides, my new house has a shared living arrangement next door. The residents are around my age, so we get along well. They often invite me over for meals, and sometimes I even stay overnight. This winter, we all went on a trip together. Legally, I may be single, but my life is far from solitary. If anything, it's so lively that I occasionally find myself craving alone time. Well, it's fun, so I'm not complaining. I hope these fulfilling days continue for a long time.